Hello, we've just wrapped up a very interesting session at the OECD Competition Committee on the subject of consumer-facing remedies, and I'm very fortunate to be joined by one of the experts for that session, Stefan Hunt, who's the head of behavioral economics and data science at the UK Financial Conduct Authority. Stefan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Very good to be here.
I think that we heard a lot of interesting contributions from delegates today, and one of the things that I think we heard from a few delegates is sometimes the effectiveness of behavioral remedies isn't quite what they had hoped it to be. So perhaps you observe that there's not enough information on the market, so you impose a remedy asking for brochures to be provided at the point of sale, but it doesn't quite have the impact. What would you say are some of the strategies that competition authorities could use to kind of maximize the impact of these types of remedies?
That's a great question. So I think one of the things that you can do is really try to make sure that you're using the kind of capabilities, you can even think of them as tools and tricks, that firms are trying to use when they're trying to engage with the consumers as well. So whilst I think we very much need the underlying ideas and theory of behavioural economics and competition economics to get behind and understand what's going on with markets, when we really want to think about helping consumers and aiding them, we really want to make sure that we get people who are thinking about design and psychology in there as well to really help us think about some of the details of how you would give information to consumers and really some of the design elements as well, so it's kind of attractive and is more engaging as well. So I think there's quite a lot of things that competition authorities can do to really help improve how they're designing remedies.
Gotcha. So another thing that we heard about is maybe testing. So the idea of trying to pilot a remedy before it gets imposed on a market. What would you say about that? I mean, is there kind of a quick and dirty solution, or does it require a really long and exhaustive process to be able to properly prepare?
So I do think testing can be very important. Obviously, one needs to bear in mind the timescales that we have to work on, the amount of resource we have, the deadlines, statutory deadlines that you may have. But certainly from our experience, so we've been working with using field experiments, randomized controlled trials with consumers in absolutely the real natural setting. And trying, for example, giving different forms of information disclosure or different types of nudges. And it's been incredibly informative. Over the last 6 years, we've worked in 6 different markets, financial markets, and in many cases learnt really quite a lot. So to pick one example, in the savings market, we were really concerned about inertia and people not getting good rates over time for their products. So what we want to do is try a few ways of giving information or nudges to help consumers navigate the market. And one thing that really struck my attention, we tried quite a lot of different things, was when we tried, of consumers at a firm where about 6% was the base switching rate after I believe in this case, the teaser rate was falling. We tried helping consumers by making sure they had, we sent them a form, and they literally just had to say they would want to stay within the company, tick that they wanted to, sign their name, and there was a stamp addressed envelope. They just need to send it back. Now, on the median amount the consumers could get was around £125, so actually quite a large amount of money.
Right.
And as you can tell, it would probably take about 5 minutes or so. We got the switching rates, and again, this is just internal switching, so not even changing the firm, there's no loyalty issues.
Right.
We got the switching rate up from 6% to 14%. Now that's an 8% increase in switching, but if you consider that this is free money, it's the same product, the same company, the fact that 84% of people still didn't switch was really useful information, and the FCA has really used that, and they're using that right now to help think about what kind of remedies are going to be able to address the issues in the savings markets in the UK. And there's a variety of other examples as well, including, for example, retail banking or general insurance, car and home insurance, where we've used field experiments to really help us think about what are the right remedies in particular situations.
Great, so a great illustration of really the need to design very carefully at the outset instead of just rushing forward with a simple solution like providing some information.
Yes, and we found ourselves, just from our own experience, even with the use of field experiments, that we've needed to build even more elements of design ourselves into the field experiments themselves to really make sure that we can get them to, in some ways, zing for consumers and really get that to pop. And I know that that accords with the experience that other people have been really trying to push the abilities of using randomized controlled trials, have found that similarly.
Great, very interesting. Thank you so much for your time, Stefan. We really appreciated it, and thank you very much for watching.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks.